Hi everybody, it's Ashley of Day to Day Social Work. I am a private online tutor and I specialize in assisting people to pass the license exam for social work on the master's and bachelor's level. I can be found on the internet at daytodaysocialwork.wix.com/my site, and I also can be found on YouTube at Day to Day Social Work. I do offer tutoring. I forgot to say that in my last two videos, but I do offer tutoring, so make sure you check the tutoring tab out on my website if you want more information about times, dates, rates, and all that other stuff. So I wanted to do a video because someone requested that I do a video on the process to apply for your next level of licensure, which would be in South Carolina the LISW-CP or LISW-AP or LISW, LCSW, all the different acronyms. They kind of mean the same. It's the next level after you get your LMSW or after you take the exam and pass it to get your license after you've earned your master's degree. So that next level up is what I'm doing this video on. This is specific to the state of South Carolina. This is not my opinion. This is what I'm reading directly off of the website. You would probably have to go to your state's licensing, labor, labor licensing and regulation website or board or whatever it is for your specific state, but this information is for the state of South Carolina. I would think that most of this information would be kind of the same in different states, but still make sure that you go to your specific state to find out what the requirements are. So I'm reading this as I go, so I'm not making up stuff off the top. Well, I'm going off the top of my head because I'm doing it as I go. So anyway, so they give you the definitions of advanced practice and clinical practice. So in the state of South Carolina, your next level up is LISW-AP or CP, and that's licensed independent social worker, advanced practice, or clinical practice. So they give the definitions of advanced practice and clinical practice. It says advanced practice means the professional application of social work theory, knowledge, methods, principles, values, and ethics, and the professional use of self to community and organizational systems, systemic and microcosm issues, and other indirect non-clinical services. So it's basically community development, social planning and policy development, administration. So the more macro level kind of things is what the advanced practice means. Now the CP or the clinical practice means the professional application of social work theory, knowledge, methods, principles, values, and ethics, and the professional use of self to restore or enhance social, psychosocial, or biopsychosocial functioning of individuals, couples, families, groups, and direct clinical needs of organizations and communities. So this is on the more micro level. So you have advanced practice, which is kind of macro, focused on the community and groups, and then clinical practice, as it sounds, is micro, more direct practice with individuals and families and smaller groups. So that's that. Now, there's all this paperwork you have to fill out in order to get it. So they have the requirements. Let's see. And they have this checklist of 10 things. So let's see if we can skim through it. Requirements for independent level licensure clinical practice in the state of South Carolina. You have to submit an application and a $45 non-refundable application fee. So when I first started this job, I sent in everything except the $45 fee because I guess I wasn't reading closely enough, and I sent the application and my supervisor sent her application and the contract, and I forgot to put the money order in, and that's why I'm so behind, because then I kind of put it to the side and I didn't get back on top of things like I should have. So I'm starting to get that process done again a year later after being on the job for a year. But anyway, so you send that information in. It says you have to have a master's or doctorate degree from a social work program that has been accredited by the Council of Social Work Education, and they give a website. Says the applicant must have at least 45 academic contact hours each of psychopathology and psychodiagnostics, and you have to provide a transcript. That's a roadblock for some people because some people did not take those 2 classes in their undergrad experience or education or whatever you want to call it. So you have to have that, and you have to provide your transcript. It says each applicant must demonstrate 15 academic contact hours or 20 continuing education contact hours in professional ethics during the course of the professional supervision period, or have completed a board-sponsored specialty course in professional ethics, and you have to provide documentation. So you have to take some form of ethics while you're being supervised by your supervisor, getting your hours in order to sit for the license exam for the clinical practice, specialty. Now, it says that before you initiate the supervision for LISW-CP, you have to have a supervisor, and they have to complete a supervisor contract with you. These are the things that you're going to work on during the time that y'all are going to be working together as supervisor and supervisee. It says the applicant must demonstrate to the board the satisfactory completion of 3,000 hours of social work practice under clinical supervision. This supervised experience must have occurred after licensure as a master social worker and over a minimum of 2-year and maximum of 4-year period within a recognized organized setting such as social, medical, or governmental agency. This supervised experience must include 100 hours of face-to-face meetings between the approved clinical supervisor and the supervisee, equally or equitably distributed. So, over between 2 and 4 years, you have to have 3,000 hours of practice, social work practice, while you're being supervised. So me, I've been on this job since I got my license in 2015. I have not signed a contract with the supervisor, so I cannot use any of the hours from here or from the time that I signed my contract prior to go towards my licensure. So you have to have the contract in place, and you start on your hours from that point forward. And you have to go at least 2 years. You get those 3,000 hours within 2 years, but not more than 4 years. And you have to have at least 100 face-to-face hours with your clinical supervisor. So that's important. They have it in bold and underlined here. The supervisor must submit the enclosed report of supervised experience form for documentation of supervision and the conclusion of supervision. So that's a note from your supervisor, stating what you all did during that time. The board will allow 50% of the supervised time to be group supervision, but with no more than 6 supervisees. So if you have to pay for your supervision and you have a group of friends that y'all want to try to split the cost up for that, half of your supervision can be done in groups, but you can't have more than 6 people in your group. Let's see. An applicant must pass the clinical level examination administered by the ASWB. So once you get all your hours done, your contact hours, your face-to-face hours with your supervisor, you can sit for the exam, and you have to pass it, of course. And then when the above materials are approved by the board, the applicant will be sent an approval letter following or allowing registration for the clinical examination. So once you get all your hours and stuff done, you have to get it approved by the board before you can sit for the exam. So it says the ASWB requires that candidates present a photo ID at the testing site. This ID must match the name given to the board when the candidate registers to take the exam. If the name does not match the name on the photo ID, the candidate will not be allowed to take the exam. So if you get married or you get divorced and you change your name, all that has to match up on your paperwork and on the ID that you present when you go and take the exam. And then they give a similar rundown for the advanced practice. So that the one that I just did was on clinical practice. Then they kind of give the same kind of rundown on the advanced practice, and it's kind of the same thing, except you have to have 90 academic contact hours in advanced social work practice with communities and groups or organizations rather, and 15 academic contact hours or 20 continuing education contact hours in professional ethics. So same things, same amount of time for your 3,000 hours over the same time period, and the same 100 hours face-to-face. So all that's the same. Let's see. Then they have the application for licensure. You have to put your demographic information and which test you're going to take, pay the money with the application, copy of your social, copy of your driver's license or valid ID, such as a passport or military ID or state-issued ID, legal documentation for name change if you're changing your name or had your name changed, and then you also have to have submitted directly to the board official transcripts, test scores from the ASWB, and license verification from your state board. If applicable, you have to tell them your current employment information, your professional education information, record of licensure, so any licenses that you have, record of examinations, test dates, when you took them, where you took them, personal history information such as criminal background, if you've been denied a license, if you've had your license revoked or suspended for some reason. So all that kind of stuff, and I won't go through all this because I don't want to make this super long, but again, all this should be able to be found on your labor licensing and regulation website for your state. And then they give you all this paperwork for your guidelines for supervision, and they give you the contract that you and your supervisor have to sign and the things that you're going to work on during your supervision. That looks like it's 2 pages long. Then they also give requirements for independent level licensure for out-of-state applicants. So they give you all this stuff on their website. They also talk about the required coursework that you have to have, and that psychopathology and psychodiagnostics is very important for clinical practice. So the LISW-CP, you have to have those, and you have to provide a transcript. I took psychopathology in undergrad. It was like an elective, I believe, but I've never taken psychodiagnostics. I know people who have come across that issue also, so make sure that you know what you need to if you're still getting your master's degree, you might want to look into this stuff now, because I do have people that reach out who are still in their program. Look at this stuff now. If you're going to graduate in the spring, like, take it in the summer if you can't fit it into your schedule for graduation in the spring, but make sure you have it. So make sure that you look into this stuff before you graduate. And that's pretty much it. So, let's see. Yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, and if I can help direct you to where you need to go for your information for your state, then let me know. Leave me a message in the comment box, or you can send me an email or a contact through my website. Again, it's daytodaysocialwork.wix.com/my site. And just make sure you remember that you have a time frame to get those 3,000 hours. So no less than 2 years, no more than 4 years to get those 3,000 hours, and the 100 face-to-face hours with your supervisor. All right, so again, I need more ideas for topics, content for topics, or topics so that I can do content videos. But anyway, I'm stumbling over my words because I'm trying not to make this a long video, and I also have these braces in my mouth. But anyway, so I will see y'all next video. Happy studying, and let me know how I can help. Talk to you soon.